Hi everyone, welcome. This is Howard from AORUS.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Lindsey.
And welcome to the very first episode of AORUS Radio. I'm joined today by, of course, Matt and Lindsey, who are our AORUS experts. And this is a fireside chat where we're pretty much going to go over all the industry news and also all of the we go over building tips, we'll go over some of the latest hardware news, and even some of the other gaming industry news that we have. Little technical difficulties, sorry. But anyways, let's get started right away. Matt, why don't you introduce yourself real quick?
So I'm Matt, I'm the product marketing manager. I've been on a couple AORUS TV episodes before, but aside from the intro, I think I'm going to be on this a little bit too. So I got to get on that intro, man. You guys got, Lindsey's got her own little spot. Yeah, you got your own little spot. I'm just like sitting in the corner, man. Well,
you're our special guest today, I suppose.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure we'll have you later on.
Right on.
And Lindsey is our kind of our social media / gaming / community expert.
Yes.
Lindsey, why don't you introduce yourself real quick?
I'm Lindsey. I'm social media / gaming, just like you said.
Just like I said, yeah.
I basically am the person who posts on all three of our social media platforms, and I'm the one who answers all the direct messages and all of that, and the comments. So that's what I do. And then I also do AORUS plays on rotation. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and today we have some pretty exciting stuff to go over with everyone. We're gonna announce the first ever RTX gaming box, which is an external GPU, the first of its kind, followed by some interesting gaming news. There's been a lot of, I want to say it's like a storm, right? Like a hurricane in the gaming industry recently, in both good and bad ways. So we'll go over that too. And for those of you watching right now, if you ever have any questions, we are monitoring our feeds on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook as well, of course. So if you have any questions, feel free to type it into the comments below, and we'll try to get to them the best that we can. This is a live podcast. So like the cool part is we're able to see everything right away and kind of communicate with you guys too. So yeah,
try to make it interactive.
Yeah, exactly.
So AORUS TV, we kind of go over products, introduce a lot of new stuff. AORUS plays, Lindsey obviously plays the latest game, shows you like, what frames you can expect on like a 2060. This is a lot more like open, right? Like we're not really sure it's an AORUS show, but we're just going to talk about like industry kind of news, right? So we're going to try to make this kind of fun, spontaneous, give you like our opinions or how we see the industry kind of from this side. Because we do work for AORUS, we do work for GIGABYTE, but we're also gamers, right? And we're all have different kind of unique views on it. So,
right.
So when we go over like how we view a certain game or what we think the reaction of the community is going to be, it'll be kind of fun to like look back at the end of the year and see like who was right, who was wrong, like if the trends that we thought were going to happen happened, like it'll be kind of a cool retrospect, to look back. So we'll see how it goes. It's even though it's season 2 episode 1, I'm still trying to figure out that numbering because it's the second season of AORUS, right? But it's our first episode of this,
first ever,
but we didn't have a first season of this. So I don't know, James did the numbering, so if you agree with James you can like do a smiley face or something, and if you agree with me, which is this is just episode 1, I don't know, we have to come up with some kind of way for people to vote in chat.
Yeah, exactly.
The poll system.
Yeah.
It'll be nice.
So why don't we jump right into the exciting one, right? The first ever announcement of the gaming box. So this Friday, actually, on the 15th, we're going to be announcing the first ever RTX 2070 gaming box. And eGPU is kind of different from a normal GPU. Matt, you're kind of like the expert here. Like, what do you expect to see from this? Do you see this like being a trend going forward for a lot of people? Like,
so it depends. Like I'm somebody who I have a home PC, right?
Yeah.
I have a laptop for work and then I have a home PC for gaming. But if you're in like a college dorm, maybe you have roommates or like a smaller room, I could totally see an eGPU working, right? So I have my laptop, and the biggest reason that I don't use my laptop is, one, it's not as powerful as my desktop, and two, when I get home, I don't want to plug in my mouse and my keyboard and then figure out the power, and then I don't want to play on Wi-Fi, so I got to plug in the LAN, all that kind of stuff, right? But with the eGPU, you just plug in one Thunderbolt 3 connection, and then you have your keyboard, your mouse, your monitor, it's charging your laptop, so it's one cable, and it connects your whole desktop. So I can have like my Arrow, plug it in at home, and then just connect to everything in like a small space, right? And so I think we actually have it right here.
Yeah, actually we do.
So this is the footprint, right, that you're going to be taking up on your desk. So if you have like a desk like this, like in college, this would be a big desk, right? Like you maybe get half of this space in a dorm.
Or in a library. If you can get this study space in the library on like finals week, you're like living like a god.
The coolest is a guy at Computex, I forget where he was from, but he brought this on the plane with him. He got like the business class seat or whatever, and so you get like this little desk. And he actually put the eGPU on there and was like gaming on the plane. He showed us pictures. That's a little extreme, but yeah, basically if desktop real estate is at a premium for you, or you don't want to build a whole PC and you already spent, you know, a decent amount of money on your laptop, like it makes perfect sense. I don't think it's going to replace a desktop, but people keep talking about laptops kind of replacing desktops, and I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about that.
But would you? I hate to be like the devil's advocate or anything, but if you have a laptop with, let's just say like a GTX graphics card inside, it could be a 960 or whatever, right? Previous generations, would you still want to get one of these? Like, would this be the product for you? Yeah. In that case?
Yeah, so if I don't want to upgrade my, I can't take this apart and put a new graphics card in it, right? But I can buy one of these boxes and plug it in. And again, for me, it's all about convenience, right? Being able to plug in one connector and have it just connect to my desktop and not spend 20 minutes with cables. Because if you're like me, every time I unplug a new keyboard or mouse, like somehow the cords get a little more tangled, right? And then you just have like this nest of stuff that you don't even want to look at, and you just tuck it in behind something, you know?
That's me at home.
Right. So if I have one cable and I plug it in, like it makes sense, and it's an instant upgrade to any laptop with Thunderbolt 3. So it's a pathway to upgrade without having to buy a whole new system every time. And the same goes for your monitor, right? So you have like a decent laptop, it's got Thunderbolt 3, but I'm not gaming on 14 inches, 15 inches. Like I want my 27-inch widescreen at home. So, you know, plugging into the back of this thing, you got DVI, DisplayPort, all that kind of stuff, HDMI, like I can go to a bigger screen too. So it takes the money you've already invested and lets it go a little bit further. And so that's kind of, I think the biggest value proposition is being able to use what you already spent money on and make it better without just throwing it away and moving on to the next one. Like laptops are expensive, they shouldn't be disposable.
Right. But I think the whole, with all the devices nowadays, right, like smartphones, all that kind of stuff, they kind of do this thing where it's called planned obsolescence, right? So like switching stuff, I feel like for people nowadays, it's a little bit easier. Especially with like devices, like all-in-one devices, phones, tablets, even laptops, for instance. For me, like why I build a PC is because, you know, you can upgrade easily. Like you switch out one part and not, you know, keep everything else the same and kind of just go from there, right? So at the end of the day, like if I'm buying something like this, why don't I just build a mini ITX PC, right? Like that could be a pretty good solution if you don't have space. Granted, it costs more, but the scalability might be a little easier for you in the future, right? It's a more direct path.
Yeah, it could be, but it also depends on who you are, right? So me, I'm gonna build a PC because I actually enjoy like opening up my computer and messing around. Like I'm the guy who has all the parts and everything, and like the side of the case is always off because I'm always switching in and out stuff. Like it's never finished, right? But if if you're somebody that either doesn't enjoy that or doesn't want to get into it and just wants to plug something in, like there's an audience for that too, right? Like, okay, I'm going to upgrade my graphics card. What happens if I only have one 8-pin power connector and the new one needs an 8 and a 6? And like people can get overwhelmed with all these options, whereas this is, let's say next year, the 3070 or whatever the next version of this is going to be. When it comes out, I just switch the boxes. Right?
That's true.
And I don't have to worry about, does it work? Like, do I have Thunderbolt 3? Yep, I'm good. Right? That's the only consideration I have to have.
Right.
And then, you know, I can use this on another platform, right? And so it takes away a lot of like the, not necessarily the guesswork, but a lot of the legwork you have to do to get a PC up and running, right? The other thing is maybe I'm moving, you know, and I don't want to have a big PC, or maybe I travel back and forth between like my college dorm and I go home for the holidays, and there's a lot of reasons why you wouldn't want to lug around a PC or even build a PC, and so this is for them, right? It's not for everybody, but we try to make something that works for your scenario, right? Don't make our products work in your life. You know, we'll try to design products for your life, kind of a thing. And that's what we've been trying to do with like all this monitor and RAM, SSDs, like whatever it is. Don't settle for something that kind of works. Like do something that makes sense for your situation.
That's true. And it kind of has the whole package, right? It has like the portability factor. So why I would want a laptop nowadays, because you can carry it around easily. It's portable, it's easy to use, convenient. All that kind of, the whole design behind this thing kind of has that messaging as well. You know, it's relatively small, fits in your luggage, you can port it around anywhere. I remember back when I first built my computer, I didn't start out in like PC building like Matt, you know, so I actually had a laptop without any dedicated graphics inside for the longest time. I was playing like Dota, all those things, and it could run fine on those, but the reason when I built a computer, the very first time was because I wanted to play Overwatch. I used to play on like super low settings, like stuttering on the whole thing.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's frustrating, very frustrating. Now, if something like this came out around that time, when I was looking into a PC, which is, you know, I think like 6 years ago, I would have definitely made that change. Like, it's a much lower cost. Like, I had to break the bank a little bit to build my first PC, because I also wanted it to be nice and run everything at like the highest settings. But yeah, something like this, I think it's like you said, it's different for your use case scenario, I guess. Like, I don't mind playing games on my laptop still. So if I get something like this, I can still do everything I wanted to do, basically, right? Yeah.
That's true.
Lindsay, how about you? What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I actually just came back from LAN ETS, which is like, you know, it's like a smaller version of like a DreamHack, where everyone just kind of gets together, brings their desktop computers. And I was watching the people get their tickets, and they're all just lugging their big like towers. I was like, that's so, like, how do they do that? Like, it's like
dedication.
If they're not driving, they're flying. So like that's a lot of cargo, you know, and it's heavy. So the first thing I thought of was the LAN events. Like, it'd be easier because if you just have your laptop, you just take the eGPU and you're good, you know? So I think for just like what Matt said, portability and convenience, I think it's very clutch in that regard. Sure.
That is true. Like, if I had a choice over laptop or PC, I would say like 90% of the time I choose the laptop. Like work, you know. But when I'm at home, sure, PCs is great, but laptops for me is like just most of the times more convenient and pretty much the same thing. Like the use cases I use it for laptops, they're just same as like I don't need to run the best stuff or anything like that, right? So. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still a PC person. Like, I remember.
Oh, okay.
So
just me.
I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago when everybody, like, the buzzword was cloud, right? Everybody was talking about, oh, we're just going to have cloud gaming. And so I don't need a computer. I can use like a little NVIDIA Shield, or maybe even like an Apple TV or a Fire Stick or something, and just stream whatever game I want, right? And that was like the big thing, cloud gaming, and that never materialized.
Never really took off.
No.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think there's still a lot of people that want to do things the way that it, like traditionally was done, right? Like build your PC, you know, and not carry around a laptop. Like I still want to have a PC, right? Like I grew up lugging around my my PC back and forth from my mom and my dad's house back when we had CRT monitors, and that was like 15 pounds. So like I don't really feel bad for people bringing stuff to LAN events, but there's something about like customizability and stuff that's pretty cool. Yeah. So if you guys got opinions on the laptop versus desktop, let us know in the comments.
Let us know in the comments for sure. Yeah, and speaking of PCs, right? I think one of the most exciting news right now is Apex Legends. Apex Legends is like pretty much everything that like all that people talk about right now. I think it released what, a week ago?
Yeah,
basically.
It sounds about right.
A week ago. Have you guys tried it yet, or?
I tried it last week. It was fun. It's fun. Hard, but
first impressions. It's how's it compared to Fortnite?
Oh, it's a lot more grown up than Fortnite. It's a lot darker in terms of like I feel like it's more realistic in terms of Fortnite. It's like
it's not cartoony.
Yeah. And you know. There's a good mix of battle royale games out there, but then for something to be graphically as beautiful as Apex, and also on top of that be a free-to-play game, I think that's like something really unique in itself.
Yeah, so like the fact that it's free to play,
it's crazy,
and it came from a really good studio. Yeah, like it has I have pretty strong hopes for it.
Yeah, same.
Now I think it has everything that like a game like that would make a game successful, right? It has the battle royale factor, which is like a lot of like I've heard there's more strategy for this one compared to Fortnite. There's a lot of a sense of progression, right? When you go into a game, you collect your items, you form your thing, and then you build a strategy. And nowadays, it's all about instant gratification for a lot of things. Like the moment you jump in game, you want to be able to feel all these things right away. And it's a different experience every time. And on top of that, like battle royale is always like there's something that makes people like really like all the gamers out there, I'm pretty sure, are competitive.
Yes.
To some degree. Like even if you say you're a casual gamer, like the reason why you play games because you like winning. Yep. And there's something about beating other people that just like I don't know, it really gets people. I feel like. I think I heard that the studio announced that they broke 25 million players in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, or was it?
Oh, in 1 week. Sorry, in 1 week. It's only been out 1 week.
So crazy.
That's crazy, right?
Even for 2 weeks, that would be like really great number.
It's so crazy that I find it kind of hard to believe, right, Matt? Like 25 million unique players too. Like that's.
Yeah, but
that's a lot. I kind of find it hard to believe, honestly.
I think this is one of those topics. Let's see where it is in a month, because a lot of games have come out in like the first week. It's like, oh my god, this is going to be the greatest thing ever, and then like a week. So another game. What was the Valve game? Artifact. Artifact was huge for like 2 weeks, and like now you can't even get a game on it. So I do agree that this one looks better. And it's kind of what I think Battle Royale was like the promise in the beginning. So like PUBG reminded me from the get-go of like Counter-Strike 1.4. Right, like I played this game, but it was in the 90s. Yeah, like the graphics and like it just.
I thought the first one was 1.6.
Wasn't it CS 1.4?
I mean,
you're probably too young, huh?
I started.
I started at 1.6.
But I'm sure there was something
I think 1.4. Chat.
I never heard of 1.4.
Chat
that's so crazy.
Can look it up. I think it was 1.4 that I played back in like middle school.
What? Okay.
But anyways, PUBG never appealed to me. Fortnite was way too cartoony and like.
But here's childish. Here's the thing. I was reading on Reddit the other day. Someone was thanking. Like a gamer guy who's thanking all like Fortnite for taking all the young players away from the games that he likes to play that are, you know, it makes it more mature audiences like kind of like played like League and like Dota and all that kind of stuff. So I wonder how much of that is true, because I mean it's a lot of people that play Fortnite and these are all the amateur gamers are playing that game, right? So you're basically filtering out all the
Is Apex PC only, or
no? It's PS4 and all across.
Okay, and does it have like all the dance moves and everything that Fortnite has?
No.
See, there's your difference.
Yeah.
There's your difference. So somebody in chat was asking, like, is it all going to move to free-to-play and loot boxes? And I think there's two different avenues in that too, right? Like, there's people that want to have like cosmetics like you would get in Battlefield 5, where it's like you're all decked out, but you look like a badass. And then there's people that want like dance moves and little balloons and stuff. Like, it's two different groups of people, and it's almost like casual versus hardcore, like that conversation we used to have of like, oh, you don't really play games, you know, like I play games or whatever. So splitting those people up and allowing them to have the experience they're looking for, I think is good. So if that's what happens with Apex and Fortnite, if Fortnite's like the casual fun version and Apex is like the strategy hardcore version, that's perfect, right? Like it enhances both communities by not having them clash with each other, because there's two, to me, they're two divergent groups, right? So maybe that's why it got so much in the beginning. It's what those like hardcore or like more invested, more mature players. I'm struggling to find something besides like childish and like adult, but like that's what it kind of seems like.
Right, you look for different things like when you're playing games. I think this one that does appeal to a mass audience, like whoever likes any type of first-person shooters. You would like this game basically. Like, the artwork is amazing from what I've seen so far. Gameplay seems smooth and it's free.
Yeah, well, like it's free as in beer, right? So have you guys ever heard that before?
No.
Free as in beer is this term that like, so I can give you free beer, but there's a cost later, right? And so free to play is kind of the same thing, where sure, it's free, you download it, you play it, but like as you get invested, like you're gonna pull out your wallet and spend $5 on that new upgrade or the new season pass or whatever. And so we were talking about this earlier too, is like subscription-based games, free to play games, and then games you just pay for. And I guess you buy DLC later, right? And those are kind of like the three models. So
EA Battle Pass.
Like, so I think we wanted to talk about that too, of like, which gaming model do you think one makes sense in terms of like longevity, and which one do you prefer? For me, I actually was totally against. Okay, again, I'm like the older one in the group. I prefer to pay $60 for my game, and I own the game, right? It's I bought it, I own it for life, whatever. And then EA came out with like their subscription thing, and I was like, oh, I don't want to pay to rent a game, right? Like it's not Blockbuster, right? I want to own something. And then I got it, and like so far I've gotten to play Battlefield, and then Anthem's coming up, right? And it cost me $100 for a year. And if I play both games, then I got more than my $100 worth. And let's be honest, in a year, for me anyways, I'm not gonna be playing either of those games. I'll be on to whatever replacement is there in a year. Like, I don't play games for like 3 years like I used to. So I don't mind the subscription thing anymore. I've never bought any. I've been playing League of Legends for 7 years. I've spent $0 on that game, right? I have no interest in cosmetics.
But you played for 7 years still.
But it's free. So like, you have a choice. All these people that, if it is purely cosmetic, right? We won't get into the whole like Star Wars thing, but if it is purely cosmetic, it's up to you if you want to pay for it, right? If I have the same ability, the same weapons, the same everything as you, then it's up to me if I want to buy like a red scarf or something, right? And I'm totally cool with that model, and it obviously makes plenty of money, right? So personally, I'm okay with any of the three, but it seems like the microtransaction loot box thing is the most lucrative, at least for people.
Well, that's been the business model for EA for a lot of the new games. Battlefront, all those games, like it's all about the microtransactions. So it's probably what's to come with this game as well, honestly. But I think the success of this game will come down to you're right, like a month into launch, and that's kind of like the critical point for a lot of games, right? Like PUBG came out like guns blazing, but
it was also the only thing viable.
It was the only thing viable. It's true, but you know, we're looking at it, you know, a year or 2 years down the line, and like, you know, their replacements are coming out that are, you know, kind of like taking over that genre. And I think ultimately, like the success of this game will come down to like esports.
Yeah.
I think they're already trying to think about doing some kind of like tournaments and stuff. Every game's end goal should be doing esports because it generates the most money. It keeps, you know, once you get those higher skill level players, you get that community going. It kind of extends the longevity of the game, right? But I think that the reason why I'm kind of skeptical is because, 25 million players is great in the first week, but like as we go down the line, like Battle Royale is just not a fun game to watch, right? For tournaments, it's a lot of like 1v1 stuff. It's not really team oriented. I wouldn't say there's a high skill cap, not as high of a skill cap as some of the other shooters. I may be wrong. But Lindsey, you play Fortnite. You can let me know if I'm wrong, but that's the perception I get. Like watching Fortnite, watching PUBG is not nearly as fun as watching like Counter-Strike for some reason. Maybe
Counter-Strike is a lot more because it goes by rounds, so it's a lot more fast-paced. Like the reason, like me trying to compare esports is like me trying to compare like basketball versus like soccer. Soccer is like really slow pace, you know. Some people like really enjoy watching soccer, but then like because basketball is a lot more fast paced, I kind of relate it to CS:GO because it goes by rounds, you know. Right. So like for me, I think it's, and I think I relate to a lot of people in that more fast paced games are more engaging. So like I agree with that. Right. And I also think that battle royale games, like I never really thought it would do, like esports wise, I don't know if it'd be fun because it's a lot of like running, making sure you're in the circle, and then circles. It's a lot of
the pacing. You're saying is kind of slow, right? Like CS, you just go right into it. Even MOBAs, I don't know why this. Maybe because we grew up playing MOBAs, but I never minded watching MOBAs, even ones I didn't understand. Like I don't play League, but if I watch a streamer play League, I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty interesting, right? I think just pacing at the end of the day, or whatever. But that's my biggest doubt about this game is the esports scene. It's awesome, but I guess we'll kind of have to wait and see, right?
They just had a Twitch Rivals tournament for Apex Legends.
Oh, man. Cool. How was that?
It was fun. I think Ninja and his team won, and then we're like, no surprise there. But then it was fun. It was fun. It was fun to watch. But I don't know about esports, but maybe to make it happen, maybe if they do something different, maybe it'll be It's just
well, maybe you can stream some Apex upcoming AORUS streams, right? Yeah. Kind of show people what's up. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty cool.
Well, like. So Santa was talking about in the chat. So I think she's right that I think it's a she that for streaming Fortnite and Apex work, right? Because you're watching one person and you're watching like a personality. But for esports, we're talking about like tournaments, right? And filling up a stadium full of people and like basically the model that Counter-Strike did. And I don't think you're gonna get 10,000 people in an arena to watch Apex, because you're right, it's 5 minutes of watching them collect loot and then 10 seconds of a battle, and while you're watching that 10-second battle, there's like the other 5 important battles going on, and then everything's over, and it's like you don't even know if you missed something, what you missed. Like it's hard to track like that, right? And then games like League of Legends and Counter-Strike is a lot more team-based. I understand in Apex you can do teams, but I think a lot of the buy-in for that is the same that you would get with like normal sports, right? It's the storyline that you get with it. It's this is my favorite player, he just got traded to this team. Right. I think when you have a battle royale of 64 people, you start to lose that, right? It's not condensed enough, right? If the NFL had 500 teams, we wouldn't know any of the players' names. So you have to kind of have like the team.
They have 30-something teams. I don't know anyone's names except the quarterback, basically.
And then they just came out with the AFL, some new NFL league, or not NFL league, some new football league just came out. So anyways, long story short, I don't think those kind of games can work for esports. I think the longevity has to be in streaming it, but that's pretty fickle too, right? Because you could be streaming and build up all your stuff off of Fortnite, and then tomorrow I'm switching to Apex and Fortnite doesn't exist anymore, right? There's no loyalty there. So I think you just make as much as you can on microtransactions and then come out with the next big thing in a year.
Oh, by the way, Sana is he's a guy.
Oh, he's a dude. Sorry,
Our bad.
I had a 50-50. I lost the coin flip. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying about just battle royales being the nature of it. It's just progression. It's every round's new. It's not repetitive, so it's fun to watch in that sense. Because every round you're watching, you're kind of watching like a completely new experience, right? It can go whatever direction. Like there's so much randomness involved that it's refreshing to watch on stream. But watching it in a tournament is like, it's totally different. Yeah. So yeah, that's some points, right? And then Kyle says the Apex ping system also really helps though.
Yeah.
Really helps, yeah.
So it's like
execution too, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Again, maybe it's because I'm older. I don't do voice comms. I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to like hear you hear some weird stuff on voice comms if you're playing like random pub games, you know. So like the fact that I can just ping like, hey, I'm going. That's why I like League of Legends. I just ping, hey, I'm going over here. Hey, we don't get on Discord and do all that kind of stuff.
You don't like that stuff? Okay, for games like Destiny or like Anthem, for instance, like I think it's kind of nice. You're like working towards a goal, and you're like strategizing on the go a little bit.
But I'm not gonna do that with random dudes. Like,
oh, no, of course not random, not random.
Like if it's my friends or like these guys that I join like a clan with or something, then I'll do it. But I'm not just like gonna run up and click on some link and go on Discord with like 10 random strangers from the internet.
That's true.
Don't need to hear whatever they got going on in the background. Like to me it's distracting and it's like frustrating, right? Like
that's true.
I'll play with people I know, but I don't want to play with like random people on the internet. Maybe that's different for different generations, but like for me, I don't do that.
Yeah. So yeah, speaking of Anthem though, that's coming out soon too. That's I think it's end of the month. End of this month it's gonna be releasing. Personally, I'm super stoked about it. Like, this is what I built my PC for. Basically, right? To play these new games and stuff, and on super high settings and stuff. Is EA also doing Anthem? I forget.
I think so.
Yeah, that's how I got it through my thing.
Oh, okay.
The subscription thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So are you gonna buy it or are you gonna buy a graphics card and get it?
Well. I don't have an RTX card yet, so that might be one route. For those of you who don't know, if you buy a RTX card right now, they're doing a game bundle. You can get either Battlefield 5 or Anthem right now if you buy a new. I think it's any 20 series card, even 2060. So that's a pretty sweet deal. But personally, like for me, I was kind of traumatized by the Destiny experience. Yeah. It's a fun game and all. Like don't get me wrong, but after I got to a certain level, I got so bored. It's become so stagnant. And everything I've seen from Anthem, even though I really like BioWare, the studio that's making it, because they made Mass Effect, like my favorite series of all time. They made Dragon Age. It's pretty cool, I guess. But the whole like system and how it works, the looting shooters, and the progression system, that has me worried, man. Like we get like robots, like futuristic shooters, like even like Apex Legends, right? Like this theme is super awesome. The only thing that worries me for Anthem is back to what you said. If you want to progress, microtransactions. If you want to, and if you don't do that, the alternative route is farming for X amount of hours for this one thing. Yeah. So,
was there in Destiny? Was there like a gift, like exchange option, like a gifting?
In Destiny?
What, like I give you something or I buy like a weapon?
Buying like in store.
You could buy emblems, which like were basically loot boxes.
Oh yeah, that's
and then you open it up and you get some, tier whatever thing. Like it was a way to speed up the grind, right? Which is like gray area to me because I get it, like, but at the same time, it's really like, I don't know. It's frustrating to see people that just like pay to get better stuff than
kind of like buying battle tiers.
Well, like the last time I seriously invested like time, like a chunk of time into something was World of Warcraft, right? And then so for instance, like I I lived in Tahoe at the time, and I drove to Reno, which is like 2 hours away, to buy the game in a store because you couldn't download stuff back then.
Yeah.
In a store at Walmart at midnight to be one of the first people to play it, right? Like that was kind of the time period. And so if you had like armor or whatever you had in the game, you kind of like earned, I guess you'd call it.
Okay.
Right.
But with these new games, you don't know if the dude just spent a bunch of money or if they actually, like, it's not an accomplishment, right? Like it used to be.
Well, I end up most of the time when I'm in the town or whatever, I end up like just comparing my gear to the whatever person's gear. I'm like, oh, how did this guy get this so fast? Like,
it takes the pride out of it, I guess, is what I'm saying. Like, it's fine that you have the best gear and I have the best gear, but it's no longer showing that, like, the time that I invested, or so it takes away kind of that pride and like that edge to get stuff. Because I remember getting stuff that was just purely cosmetic, right? Like, I want this blue dye or something. I think that's more EverQuest time, but like, I want to have blue armor, not red armor, and like spending all this time to like farm something to make it blue, like has nothing to do with the stats in the game. It's just really hard to get like blue dye. So like, I'm gonna go farm it. If I can just pay $10 to get it, then it doesn't give me that incentive to do it, right? And so I think you get burned out on games a lot faster because you don't have that pride or like that ownership of what you have in the game anymore, like you used to, which I guess is what it is. But I prefer when I don't know, when
you prefer the good old days.
Yeah, sinking time into something meant something, or like there was something to show for it. And now it's just a sea of other people with the exact same stuff that I have, and like it's not as fun. Or I'm ready to move on to the next game quicker. You know?
But how about the gameplay, Lindsay? What do you think about the gameplay for Anthem?
I haven't actually tried the demos yet, but I've watched streamers play it, and it looks fun. It looks interesting.
Right.
It is kind of kind of similar to Destiny, but in that there's more things you can do. Like you can fly, obviously, and then like it's in third person, so a lot, so stuff like that. I'm not too sure about like the storyline, because I know a lot of people, the reason why they like Destiny so much was because the first Destiny story was really good, and second Destiny follow up, and
I finished the second Destiny in like I want to say less than 20 hours. The campaign was like so. I was like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Now what do I do? And then there's like nothing that tells you what to do.
I know.
Like I said, I might just be me, but a little scarred there. And like I guess like everything looks great on the outside. For Anthem, and it's like my word is like, damn, this game looks so nice, so perfect. But I just feel like that's too good to be true at this point. A lot like what Sonia says about the Western devs, right? Like a lot of bad press for these like publishing studios nowadays, or companies, sorry. That kind of worries me as a gamer. Like I don't want to invest $60 in a game that I'm gonna play for 2 weeks and get bored of, or even a month, honestly. And so far, like that's been like a pattern for 2018 from my experience, right? Yeah, but I think everything that's old becomes new again, right? So like as everybody moves into like battle royale, and we're just gonna do free to play, like you know, I don't know if it'll happen today, tomorrow, a year, 5 years from now, but like it'll flip back where it's like having a single player. I forget the game. Somebody just announced like they're actually gonna have a single player, and everybody was like, oh my god. And it's like, back in the day, we were talking about multiplayer like that, right? Like, oh my god, it's gonna have multiplayer. Single player was a given, right? Like now the fact that they actually have to build a game, like that was the whole point, right? I remember playing single player games where like you played the same level for like 3 days at home, right? Because you were trying to figure out how to get through it, and then you had to go buy like a walkthrough book because we didn't have the internet. Like these like nostalgic things of gaming, you know, like spending serious time to beat a level and not just power. Because I did the same thing with Destiny 2. I powered through it because I wanted to get all the weapons, and I totally forgot that I was actually like playing a game that's supposed to be immersive and like fun, right? Like I'm just trying to get the next thing. I'm not like paying attention to the storyline, or I cut through all the cutscenes. It didn't used to be like that, you know? Well, I guess like all of us will find out on the 15th, because Lindsay's going to be playing Anthem live on that day, I think, on Friday, 3 p.m., I think?
Yes, 3 p.m. Cool. I'll be streaming Anthem. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. And I think on that stream we'll talk more about like the technical aspects, like what you need to run Anthem well.
We'll see how DLSS works. They're going to have that built in.
Right.
We'll try, you know, like 1440 and then put it on a 4K monitor, see what happens with that. I mean, we won't get like too crazy with it, but just give you an idea of how it works, if it works. You know, because we are bundling it with all these 20 series cards. So if you're going to pay the money for the technology, like, it's nice that things are coming out that are starting to take advantage of that, right?
Yeah. I mean, what games are there right now that kind of take advantage of RTX, right? There's Metro Exodus 2 as well.
Yeah, and a bunch of reviews came out about that today that were... So this was a big conversation we had at CES. Like, so this is like industry insider stuff, right? We talked at CES and people are tired of Battlefield 5 as the demo. Right? Every booth you go to that talks about RTX is Battlefield 5. Right? And that's the only game we have to talk about. And so...
Does Anthem have it? Sorry. Does Anthem
I don't think it has ray tracing, but it does have DLSS, which is basically like the AI that's built in. So the idea is you take you render your game in 1080p and then it upscales it to like 1440. And that's where you get the performance gain, is that instead of your graphics card rendering all these pixels, it knows that like if this pixel's black, the 2 or 3 pixels around it are probably black, and then it, you know, that's the short answer of it. Is it kind of upscales without putting all this load on your GPU. So we'll see how it gets implemented, but it's nice that things are actually starting to like use this, like Metro, Anthem. I'm sure pretty much everything for the rest of the year.
You know what we have to do? We have to try running Anthem on the gaming box also.
Yeah. That sounds horrible. We'll spend a couple hours in the office playing Anthem and getting paid. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, we'll make that sacrifice for you guys out there.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that sounds great. So I do want to thank all the viewers for kind of watching today. Like I said, Friday 3 p.m. Please tune back in, and we'll have some Anthem gameplay for you guys. Super excited about that. Yeah, and I think honestly, podcasts are pretty cool. I gotta say.
So that's the other thing that James wanted us to mention, though, right? Is that if you like this format, if you have topics that you want to hear for next time, if there's things like, oh, talk more about games, talk less about games, talk more about like industry stuff, like this is basically us taking an hour out of our day just to kind of talk amongst ourselves and then stream it out to you guys. So whatever topics you guys want to hear about, it's an open forum, and in order for us to get our bosses to keep letting us do this, we basically need you guys to like it, comment, let us know. Like the more interaction we get out of this, the more fuel we have to kind of keep this thing going and make it fun. And I know down the road we want to like invite guests and do all kinds of other stuff. So this is season 2, episode 1. So you know, you guys get to help shape like how this turns out. So I think it should be pretty fun.
Yeah. Hopefully it was relaxed, and the whole point of this is like a fireside chat. It's really just, this is what we talk about at work every day. This is our lives basically. So
this is like an hour at the water cooler.
Yeah, basically. So we've been drinking water the whole time.
We don't actually hang out by the water cooler, by the way.
So yeah, that about does it. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys soon. Cheers.
Bye.